We're gonna continue with Boyan from Bulgaria.
Szia, Renato.
Hello, long time friend. Haven't seen each other for some time. Well, a year maybe, so not that long time. But I'm happy that you're here and gonna educate us on Bulgaria and your experience in the music industry, which goes quite back. You've been a musician for a long time.
Yeah. Are we going to mention how old we are now, or are we going to skip that? Okay.
No, skip that, yeah. But you're an independent promoter in Bulgaria, and you're also working as the country manager for Believe.
Yes.
And you do many other things, but I would like you to add the things that you would like to mention the most.
Well, those two things really keep me the most occupied. Believe they opened the office in Bulgaria about 3 years ago, actually. So it's been a very interesting ride so far. And I became an independent promoter after I worked with the company called Sofia Music Enterprises, which was the partner to Live Nation Central and Eastern Europe, with their office right here in Budapest. And I decided just to do my own thing after that. And now our company is called Blue Hills, and we promote a lot of metal, actually. We're a metal bunch, so we like a lot of metal music. And we work within the region. We work with Greece, Turkey, to bring some of those acts our way, because it's a little difficult. We're kind of at the end of geography there, to not say a euphemism. And there's really nowhere to go, so you have to, you get to Turkey and then you have to come back. And we try to work together to make some of the stuff happen,
Okay, great. So you also worked with Live Nation. I wanted to mention that.
Yes, right? So that was actually one of the reasons why I came back to Bulgaria in the first place. So I left for the U.S. when I was a teenager, to the state of Texas, of all places, right? Which was really interesting luck of the draw, no pun intended. And in Houston, Texas, where I received all of my education, I studied music and linguistics, and after that I moved on to do a master's in arts administration. So like Dugu, I have some sort of university background, but I was a musician in the late 90s, 2000s, and I got into the industry that way as the sober man on the band who would drive the truck. Because in the U.S., if you've been to the U.S., you know that if you don't have a car, you're absolutely SOL, and you need to have a driver. And I was the default driver of a band that featured mostly people from Central America, so Mexico, Argentina. Somebody else is gonna drive, and I was like, oh, Boyan's gonna drive. Sure, why not? Okay, you guys have fun. I'll drive. And that led me on a completely different path in the music industry. So I kind of, from on the stage to behind the stage, to help build the stage, to pay for the stage. So I'm not sure I think it's a reverse career. Most people try to get to the stage. I tried to get off of it as soon as possible. And this is where we are now.
What were you back to Bulgaria eventually?
It was, let's see.
If it's not too private.
Oh, no, not really. Let's see, I'm trying to get the chronology correct now that I've, divulged when I moved. I'd gotten married already there to a lovely redhead, and she never met my mom, actually, because my mom never came to the U.S., and I just finished my university degree in arts administration, it was called at the time. And we decided to take a break. This is 2010, and to just visit Bulgaria for the first time. And I ran into a friend / an idol, a guitar idol of mine who I used to like a lot. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm producing this World Music Festival in Indiana." I was doing that part-time. He said, "We really need people that know their way around a production, production sheet writers." And I said, "Well, I could give it a shot." I said, what are you doing this June? I said, "Well, nothing. We have this tour with Sting. Do you want to stick around?" I said, "Shit, I'll stick around. Of course I'll stick around." And so we did a small tour with Sting that was regional. It was the Sting Symphonicities tour, which was quite lovely.
You did the whole tour with him?
I did 2 or 3 dates, and I got the absolute pleasure to ride with the Philharmonic Orchestra, which is 66 14-year-olds. They're not 14-year-olds, but they become 14-year-olds when they get into a big bus. And so you're Romania, and then we ended up in Sofia, and I essentially left after that. I went back to the U.S. to continue working there. But they called me and they said, "We like the way you work. Would you consider coming back?" And I said, "Okay." And so sort of partially moved. In 2012, we had some really, really nice concerts. Lady Gaga, Aerosmith, Depeche Mode, Dream Theater, Iron Maiden, that was already mentioned. So some of my personal heroes. And I loved working with all 50% of them. It was amazing. Yes, but that goes to one of those never meet your heroes maxim, because, you never know what you're going to get.
Right. And okay, that's interesting. And how did you segue into working with local artists and with the local industry?
Yeah. Well, after a few years of putting on those shows, which were, the biggest shows, because the company that I was working with, they had something to prove. They wanted to know that they were the best in the country, and supported, of course, by the Live Nation team locally. And I just kept noticing that we are not really featuring any of the local artists in any capacity at all, not even as support acts. And so I said, well, maybe is there something we can do? Is there a concept we can develop? And there was the idea for us to open a club, because we worked in venues that we were renting, the stadium, the local arena, yada, yada, yada. And they said, yeah, we're going to open a club, and you need to go and find us cheap artists. Go and find where the artists are cheap. And I said, okay, there's this Eurosonic thing. They say it's cheap artists. Nobody knows them, so they won't cost us money. Should I go there? They say, well, you should go there. And that's how I ended up going to my first showcase. I'd been to South by Southwest, which is a completely different animal, in Austin. But that's kind of what pushed me into that mindset to start thinking about how to develop local artists, start comparing what the common challenges are between the artists in Europe, in our region, in Central Europe, and then kind of it became sort of a global obsession to see how artists are developed. I started talking more and more to managers that have developed artists from nothing to big artists. I started talking to agents that have developed an artist from 200 capacity clubs to 200,000 people. That Gojira, for example, when they were picked up, that's how small they were. Rammstein is a similar story. So you find that in a lot of those stories, the artists really started very, very small, and they got a break somewhere in there. And I've always tried to find where that break was.
Did you, find a blueprint for that and try to work along that?
It turns out it's kind of the same road. It's the same destination. Sorry, it's the same destination we want to get to, but everybody's road is different. And that's simply because the artist needs to be in touch with themselves, and they need to know their audience, and that's their own personal journey, and you can't really skip that. You can't really skip any steps in the middle. Even if an artist is wildly popular in one side of the world, there's no guarantee they're going to be popular here, and vice versa. As I was saying off camera, that just because an artist is wildly popular, they can have millions of listeners 4 hours away in lovely Istanbul. In Sofia, they may have 200 listeners, and so it's not exactly the same thing. And that pretty much goes for any artist everywhere. There's been artists in music history, you can kind of look at their portfolio and say, there's no chance they were going to make it. And a band like Dire Straits, not incredibly good looking, not fantastic songs that you can sing along to, quite complicated, lots of guitar music, but then global phenomenon. I mean, it's Brothers in Arms, one of the best-selling albums of all time, I think number 15 on a chart. And that was not supposed to work, but somehow it did work. The right place, right time, right adoption, the right people, the right crowd found them. And so there's a lot of stars that need to align. And so it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. Even if the artist is perfect, the music is perfect, very contemporary, they have the right mindset, you still have that X factor of their audience finding them. And as it was mentioned before, that's why you need to be active on so many different levels if you're an artist these days.
So are you looking at bringing smaller artists and develop them in Bulgaria, or are you also working with the local talent and try to build them for a bigger domestic and perhaps a bigger, maybe international? And
well, a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. So we have, currently there's a phenomenon happening in Eastern Europe. Every country has their own breakout superstar. And in Hungary you have Azaria. We have our own band called Molets, which is the Bulgarian version of that. It's a band that came out of absolutely nowhere. They played in front of 200 people in January. By the end of the year, they played in front of 4,000. And by the end of next year, they sold 15,000 tickets. And so these sort of things have never happened in the Bulgarian music history. And I'm pretty sure they haven't happened in the Hungarian music history either. Poland has a similar case. Serbia has a similar case. All of these wonderful artists happen to be believed clients, so hopefully we're doing something right. But I think it's just, it's a new generation, it's the post-COVID mentality. Things are happening more and more on a local level. But that means that you need to build a team around the artist to make it sustainable. And a lot of the artists actually build teams organically, which is kind of amazing. You know, you turn around and, oh, you've got yourself a photographer. Oh, now you have a manager. Oh, and a finance guy. How did that happen? I was gone for a week. But it seems that these things are now naturally occurring. And so in my position, I just look for the right opportunity to be able to support them. And of course, the ultimate idea is to make money together with the artist.
So let's just stop there for a second. So what happens behind the scenes on Belief's side and on your side, let's say? So when you said, ironically, it magically happens, you know, it's of course a lot of work from you guys. Could you let us into what's actually that behind the scene work?
There is a lot of education that happens. We get a lot of great information from all the platforms that we work with because we have direct partnerships with them. And so we get sort of the algorithmic changes that are going to occur. You know, they communicate with us because we're their partner. They say, you know, tell your artist that they should use this in this feature. Tell your artist that, you know, TikTok's going to develop a new algorithm that's going to, I don't know, favor someone who uses, you know, brown colors instead of blue colors. And so all that stuff gets fed into us, and then it's my job to feed it into the minds of the artists who are maybe inclined, maybe not inclined to listen. And so it's my job to persuade them, hey, this is a good idea because this is coming directly from the platform. And
I don't want to simplify it, but so it's like, okay, we got a new feature coming out, you know, you should guys focus on that because we're going to push that with the algorithm.
A lot of time goes into essentially making something very complicated very, very simple. So we have a team that ingests that information. It gets passed down to us after other experts have seen it. And it's my job to make people adopt it. And by giving these people, these artists, very, very simple cues as to where and how to go, everything involves much, much quicker. Everything happens much quicker for them. They're able to integrate their social media marketing strategy with their digital release strategy. And after that, it's really up to them what they want to do. They can continue down the same path, or they can try to convert their clients into ticket buyers, because those are two different things. Or they may say, I just want to be a stay-at-home producer, and I'm really interested in getting on a Turkish soap opera.
Why is it so two different routes to convert them to ticket buyers or listeners?
It's very, very simple. It's your audience members have their own preferences, and someone that likes to listen to you at home or watch you on YouTube is not necessarily a ticket buyer for you, because they may prefer you on the small screen right here. This is fine for me. I don't need to go anywhere. Oh, there's too many people at the arena, and I need to get a babysitter or a dog sitter. No. I'm going to stay home, and there you go. I'm going to listen to the artist here or get a playlist, and that's fine. They're still a fan. They may even buy a T-shirt from you, but that doesn't mean they're going to buy a ticket to come see you. So those are two different things. So you have to work as an artist very, very hard to convert that listener into a ticket buyer. And so you may forever stay in the sort of very popular on digital, hasn't sold a single ticket situation. Hip hop is, as we know, all around the world is a major force. But hip hop artists in Bulgaria, they don't really perform a lot of shows. Very, very few, actually. There's one or two festivals that are very accessible to people, but they make bank on digital alone, and they can sustain their careers that way.
I wanted to ask, like, what do you think of borders, both in terms of like geographical borders, but technological, cultural borders? Because I think you face them on many levels, and I just wanted to pick your brain. How do you think they exist in the current landscape?
Well, borders are unfortunately built into the equation. So they exist both as, you know, cultural, social demarcations between the countries, but also you have platforms and algorithms are actually built within a particular territory, and the metadata is banked on a particular language. And so if you have a Hungarian artist that's trying to be heard in Bulgaria, if the name of the artist and the title of the song is in Hungarian, that's not going to be introduced to a Bulgarian artist, simply because of the language, because the platform gives the user what the user wants, not what you want as the artist. And so you have to learn to manipulate the platform to your benefit do special. We can go into a really long conversation about how you can do targeted special releases, but I can sum it up this way, by giving you a very cool stat. In the meantime, so Bulgaria's population is 6.7 million people, and over 4 million of those are on YouTube. And so that means that YouTube should be your absolute gateway into the Bulgarian market, and you have to do slightly more bespoke, so customized advertisement, but it doesn't have to be very expensive, nor does it have to be very elegant. It can be, as dumb as the day is long, but it has to be engaging. It can be someone falling off a skateboard, a dog on a skateboard, whatever. Those things work. But you just have to make sure that people can associate with it, and then it's kind of authentic for you as a musician. Because if it's fake, everyone knows, they didn't really mean to do that. But hey, that's really funny. They really broke their face there. Look at that. And
is that what you ask your artists?
There you go.
Break their face?
Are you willing to break your face for your career? And if the answer is no, then, next. That's true. It's a real story, by the way. And the border, so that there's a way to combat these. On a purely cultural level, of course, there are no borders. And it really depends on the person's willingness to really discover a new country, a new culture, and then allow for their own culture to be discovered. That comes down to your decision as an artist, what kind of artist you want to be. Are you a representative of a particular culture? Like Rosalia was mentioned before, clearly representative of, Andalusian, flamenco and trench culture. Are you going to be, are you going to come from the background of, let's say, Hungarian gypsy musicians, which have a rich history, spanning hundreds of years? Or are you going to be an alternative rocker, taking a little bit of seed from everywhere and then, growing your own plant, so to speak? So those are the decisions of the artist. They're not easy decisions because there's so many different avenues. And the information that we give them, at least we try to point them in a direction where we say, well, if you choose this path, you can do these options. If you go here, you can do the other options. But, you need to focus, definitely.
And so can we take away from this that borders are kind of reinforced by the algorithms in that sense?
Yes, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a simple way to break them. You can do special releases with metadata in a different language, and a lot of our clients do that. But knowing full well, educated by us, that is the way for them to be heard.
And that would be just, let's say, one song as a single, and they put it out with different.
You can put out that one song with the different metadata, and you can release it only in Hungary to reach the local audience. And if the song is good, it will. And if it's not, try again.
Sorry if it's too technical, but what metadata would you have to do?
You would have to, essentially, you'd have to change the language of the song. It may, or the title. It may still be in an amalgamation, it may be even in a made-up language, but make sure that it's something that the local algorithm will offer to people, and then it's something that people can identify with. Because you're more likely to associate with something that's in your native language. That's just a given.
Yeah. Interesting. And could you give us some overview of what the Bulgarian landscape is in terms of what cities are active when it comes to touring and live gigs? And is it what is it like to go and play there? And do you have an experience with Hungarian acts, let's say?
Yes, I would say there's at least 2 people in the room that have been to Bulgaria at an event that I've organized. Maybe 3 if I've closed my eyes for a little bit. It's been very. I mean, I'd like to think it's nice. I mean, Bulgaria is a hospitable country, open to all sorts of cultures. So international bands are very, very welcome. Only because they're international, so people are willing to extend a hand and learn something. It is a small country, however, and we do have limited places to play. Our infrastructure is not amazing yet. Our capital city, Sofia, is definitely the prime spot, but also the city of Plovdiv, which is in the middle of the country, it's in the Thracian Valley, and this is Thrace from the books and from the, I am Spartacus Thrace, it's that Thrace. Plovdiv is a very interesting city. It's 8,000 years old. It's the oldest city in Europe. It's not the oldest capital, that's Athens, as they like to remind us, but it's the oldest city in Europe. The coastal cities Varna and Burgas are very nice. They have a few open stages. And if you're going to do a tour, you can pretty much play at 4 or 5 cities, and that exhausts all your options. There's some small regional festivals that take place in the smaller cities, but they're very, very niche. They usually have to do with folk music, and they're not really open to anything. But if you Google what's happening, and there's new festivals being introduced every year, you may just find your niche, but you have to do some research, definitely. Yeah.
Do you think local professionals are open to work with foreign artists, even if they are, they need a lot of work to do?
In general, yes. I always find that there's passionate people coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. When they find a band that they're really passionate about, they just get in touch with them, invite them, and promote them. I was just at a gig last week where somebody had discovered a New Zealand band that they really wanted to promote, and they'd never done it before, and so they took a risk. They said, we're going to bring this band here, and they were on tour from London. And so these are people that I've never met before, but they passionate enough to put some money on the line. They made a big investment, I know. The people who are open to work with international artists are getting less and less, simply because the market is more satisfied with local artists. And that's when you get with the digital revolution, where people are able to access the music that they associate with more readily, and it's always going to be the local music. It's going to make less and less spots for international artists. And so our import is going to diminish. Our export is also going to diminish, and we're going to be satisfied with let's say, the food that we make at home.
Yeah, you can see it in many countries that the local domestic market is just getting so much stronger. And I suppose you experienced that through Believe as well, and digital.
Yes, those are really the trends that we're observing. And it's there's a new statistic that came out that the market has grown from 6 million to 25 million euros over the space of 6 years, and a big part of that is down to digital distribution revenue. Simply because, as I said before, people know where the money is, and they're making content specifically to get as much of that as possible. It's part of their optimization strategy. And they're just guarding it. They understand how to be competitive digitally, because there's only a set pool of money. It's not. There's no room for everyone. It may seem like there is, but there isn't. There's got to be winners, and there's got to be the also ran. That are
like a winner's take it all market.
That's kind of the industry, though. The industry is a winner take it all industry. You can exist in the middle, but in my experience in Bulgaria over the last close to 15 years, it's very difficult for you to exist as a mid-level artist. It's tough. Yeah.
Although that's an interesting, because Believe really likes to hit the middle, no?
Yeah. Well, we extend a lot of helping hands to those artists that are willing to essentially embrace this new digital strategy. They've tried everything, they see that it doesn't work, or they've just started out and they don't know what to do. And those are kind of the perfect ones for us. And it's a little bit more difficult with artists that are already established, because they have an established way of working. They don't really want to implement a new strategy. However, some of them decide, hey, I'll hire a new team member that's maybe much younger, maybe has a different perspective, and that'll definitely help us. Because a lot of bands for years, they've never had managers or PR or any kind of assistant. But now when they say, oh, there's a spot for you in this collective, maybe we'll get a new person, we'll get a new perspective, and it's always for the better. Simply, they're much happier, they have many more people to talk to, people who understand them, who understand their challenges, who understand their needs, and can offer some sort of a fresh perspective, simply because they're better informed. And that used to be really, it still is the case. The lack of information and actionable information is always going to be the problem. What's good for you as an artist, as opposed to what's out there? There's a lot out there, but what's gonna make the difference for you? What's gonna push the needle for you? That's the difficult thing to filter out from all the noise that we get.
And when you work with local artists, do you see like an increasing number of them not really caring about the foreign exposure, but just local domestic exposure?
Yes, absolutely. Especially the ones that perform and write and perform in Bulgarian, which is the majority of them. Yeah. The bands that were inspired by the 90s grunge revolution, or by the heavy metal bands of the 2000s, those kind of failed to take off, really. And those are going nowhere really, really fast. And so the only bands that are going are the ones that have adopted this, think global but act local strategy.
Okay. And I asked, do you go about how the local financial situation is for artists and the smaller companies, let's say. Is it becoming a viable business to be a label, to be maybe a publisher, artist management? Is that happening?
So the situation with money is a little bit more flexible, actually. So it's there is a national cultural fund, and so that's kind of money that comes from the Ministry of Culture, and it goes into a fund for people to evaluate projects. So pretty much you can get a grant, and that's fairly new. People are kind of still figuring it out. The political situation hasn't been the most stable in the last few years, and so there's been new directors of this cultural fund. So it's working slowly, but it is working. So it's making it's making a change. Not only because artists have money, but also they have to undergo this process of application, which has to give them a little bit more discipline in what they're doing. And that the whole process makes you essentially a better artist, a more prepared individual, simply because you have to jump through hoops to get that money. The label and publishing, we have collection societies as well. Muziekautor for authors and composers, and Profon for neighboring rights and production rights. And those have been working essentially since the late 90s, so right after the fall of the wall in 1989. Bulgaria's government changed, and private property and private ownership of companies was allowed in 1991. And a lot of people hurried up to form companies at that point. But those companies that formed in the 90s, they're still the same ones that exist today. So it's kind of an old guard situation. If you want somebody to publish your work, you have only one option. And if you want somebody to collect your neighboring rights, you only have the one option. So it's very difficult to be truly independent. You have to navigate all around them. When it comes to labels, now labels are kind of an outdated idea since the digital revolution, because everybody can be a label. You just upload your stuff on TuneCore or whatever, and you're a label, That is become very, very difficult simply because you need the old school label doesn't really exist anymore before. That essentially the label curator became a playlist curator who became the local DJ who plays the music he likes in front of a small crowd. So that's kind of the evolution. There's really no point in doing physical distribution in the Balkans in general, even though we have quite a lot of few pressing plants, especially in Serbia, who manufacture vinyls for Korea. Right. Because it's very close, apparently, and it's because they can afford to actually buy that product. But no, Bulgaria hasn't been a physical market for a long time. We've had a little bit of bad press, one or two times, but most of it having to do with piracy and pirated CDs in the 90s. And Bulgaria was the biggest hub of pirate CD production. Later, it was determined that didn't bring down the value of the music industry at all. So it had some people made some money, and that was that. But in general, it doesn't really bring down the value of music. It stayed where it was because that means that the music was sustained by this illegal sharing of it. So good. Yes, essentially that's checkmark. That was a good thing. We moved on, and. From there, management companies, I have to say that there's probably 3 managers in the company. I'm one of them. The other one is...
Country, you mean?
In Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So I'm one of them. I manage 2 artists, a rock band and a world music band. There's another manager, someone I called manager, who's been doing it for 20 years. Her name is Magdalena Ivanova, and she is the manager of one of our biggest artists, named Grafa, which means the Count. His name is Vladimir. But he's been around for a long time, now in his mid-40s. He was a child entertainer. And he just played at the local arena again for the second time, which is a big undertaking for a local artist. This is not something that's been happening before. It's been happening for the last 3 or 4 years. Local artists performing at big stages. And so things are really, really going in the right direction for artists and for the locals specifically. It's still a struggle, of course, simply because the more professionalization happens on the local market, the more competition you start to get. So this artist is selling tickets, now the other one wants to do it, and the other one wants to do it. And so everybody takes their cue from the most brave of the artists. However, they're right behind him. So he has to deliver and deliver even better every single time. So it's exciting to watch because I'm kind of on the sidelines of this at the moment. It's sort of, we service a lot of different clients on a certain different levels. And we can see how the smaller one aspires to be the big one. And then it's great when two of them work together. The big artist gives a helping hand to one of our smaller artists.
You're consulting all of them, no? True Belief.
Sort of. I mean, we're trying to influence them for the better, but they find a common, the music finds a common language between them, and we just simply make it easier to connect. We say, well, we work with this person, we consider them to be of high professional level, and you can work with them, you that have been around for 20 years. And so it just happened actually recently, and it's great. So we like to see more of that.
And still for international artists, what's the situation with the local showcase opportunities? I know that you also are involved in one. There's also Soul Live. Can you paint us a picture, what they are, how they are?
Well, apparently the showcases are just a hot new idea because we started a conference called Sofia International Music Conference, SIMC, but we started it online because it was a COVID time. And after that, we wanted to implement it in Sofia. But the venue that I wanted to work in was not built yet. It was not ready. That's kind of the whole story behind it, really. And we ended up going to a different town entirely, the lovely city of Plovdiv that I already mentioned. And we found that it's much easier to work there because it's small, compact, great vibe, very cheap. And we were able to put on 30 shows by international artists for the whole duration. And the year after us, somebody decided it's a great idea, so they started another one called So Alive Music Conference. And of course, the big hint there is she's an artist I used to manage. So she's the one who started it. So it's good. No good deed goes unpunished, my friend. And then the year after that, there's a third showcase that features exactly. So we're a country of 6 million. Turkey doesn't have a showcase, but we have 3. I would like to ask Duygu personally if she can take one off our hands. Yes, very good. Exactly. You know Peter already.
What is the third one? I didn't know about that.
So the third one is an offshoot of a lovely jazz festival called A to Jazz, and who's the featured Hungarian artist as well. And they decided to open a showcase that's dedicated to world music. So we're essentially servicing...
A little bit of differentiation.
We're servicing the entire world. I handle all international, every single style. So Alive is Balkan artists only. That's the concept. And the A to Jazz talks and the associated showcase that happens in July essentially has world music artists, so including any kind of folk artist from anywhere around the world. And so, yes, it's a one-stop shop.
Well, it's great, though. So depending on your genre, you can pick which one to go to.
Yes. Of course, the spoiler alert that Sofia is now probably one of the most expensive cities to be in, thanks to our moving to the euro in a month time. So, yes, I don't know if it's going to be an economic viability for everyone. But yes, obviously we try to cater to that.
Is it more expensive than Budapest?
Currently, yes, I'm afraid. Wow. Yes, it didn't used to be the case. So, yes, I'm afraid. The concept of the showcase, and I ran my showcase for 3 years. We took a break this year. Everybody has a different take on what a showcase should be. And my idea of a showcase, the mistakes that I've seen in other showcases that I tried to fix in the organization that I put together, is that if I invite an artist to perform, I already know that I'm going to pair them with a professional from another country who will be interested in working with them. So I try to do a business-to-business matching behind the scenes. So if an artist is invited, I already know who they're going to meet and that person's going to be interested in them, which took a long time to plan and an even longer time to kind of put together. Sometimes it works out, the artist and the professional vibe immediately, and then sometimes it takes a while for that to happen.
Do you take that as kind of like a mentorship relationship, or it's
unofficially? I don't say anything. I sort of let nature take its course. The only thing I can do is I can put those people together. Obviously, everyone knows that everyone's there to communicate and to help the artist. That's the concept. And so the artist sometimes doesn't know because the artist is too busy thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get there? Am I going to perform well? Am I going to dress well? Do I smell right? Blah, blah, blah. And of course, they are worried about their own presentation. The manager or whoever it is, the agent, who is probably a bit more senior in the industry, they can alleviate all those worries and say, you're fine, let's just talk about your future. And I found that en masse, spending a lot of time dedicated to this business-to-business matching it's much better served if I work with individual artists alone instead of try to essentially educate the entire mass of artists. And so I tried this experiment this year. I picked up a band that I wanted to manage, a Bulgarian band who I thought was very promising. They sing in English. They are influenced by American culture. I'm an American citizen, so it's kind of a, hand in hand. And I sent them to play in the United States, and they came back. They made fans immediately. And that kind of confirmed my concept that I could still match the right band with the right person with the right place. So that, to me, that works. And now I'm moving on to working with other bands that are a little higher level to connect them with people that can push them even higher. So my mission is to really see how the artist develops, kind of coming back to it. And I've asked some people that have been like legendary managers. I've asked Paul McGuinness about U2. I've asked the U2 producer Steve Lillywhite about how he used to work with those bands. All these people were guests at Spike. Apart from Paul McGuinness, he never made it. We just did an online interview. I've had the manager of Dire Straits, who was, again, how did that band work? Why did it work? He doesn't seem to know either, but it did. And so talking to these people will give you it won't give you any answers, but it will teach you to ask the right questions in a very, very specific way. And they're not the typical, what's your YouTube stats? How many songs have you written? It's really not that. It's about something else. That you have to, there's a more holistic approach. But the downside is that it takes time to really dig deeper into every single artist. And we have so many talented artists right now. So hopefully everyone will find their own, guru in the process.
Yeah, that's really, really, great work that I'm sure they value very, very highly.
Well, that's a different conversation.
By the way, regarding questions, if anyone has questions along the way, feel free.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. Has anyone played Bulgaria, by the way? Yeah?
Yeah, get back there with one hand like this.
Yeah, I was there also with Tzadik. He's still playing, but 12 years ago, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Oh, fantastic.
A long time ago at a festival. Yeah. Okay. And how about, do you have any other Hungarian artists you kind of like might have your eye on for the Bulgarian market, let's say, not for you personally, but who could or would make sense to try and find connections?
What I'm very excited about now, I'm just helping our local big band, Mulets, to launch their next album, their second album. I'd be really curious to see if we can pair them with another hip-hop artist from Hungary that's kind of on the same level. That's something that I've been looking into. I've been listening and reading about the artists so I can understand where they're coming from. As I said, it takes time. Yeah, but it's something that I've been working on. There's a few ideas on the table.
That's really, really interesting because there's obviously a big language barrier between them. I suppose he's rapping in Bulgarian and the Hungarian one in Hungarian. How do you make that work for each audience?
It's I know my artist very, very well. And it's easier to find if you know the artist very well. It's you just have to see if the other artist is on the same wavelength. So they have to have a similar background. They want to say similar things, express similar ideas. My artist, that's a hip hop duo actually. Both of them come from an actor background. They're both religious. They sing about things in a very, very particular way. And they have a team that works in a very particular way. So just giving someone an example, sending them a video, if they recognize that aesthetic in them, that'll be a perfect match. But I have to do a lot more research to find out who that's going to be. Good thing is I have a big sample of people to choose from. So that's both good and bad, because now I have too many choices. But with the help of my esteemed local Believe team, I hope we can nail it, for next year. Oh, that's very exciting.
But is it a strategy you'd like to pursue more to match?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's something that we started thinking about day one. Just as I said, it takes time, and then we do the same ideas. So Bulgarian, Turkey, as our wonderful Duygu mentioned, essentially Turkey and Turkish music is a big influence to the entire Balkan scene. If you listen closely, you'll kind of hear Turkish music, and even all the way up here in Hungary. And when you try to connect the dots, a lot of people don't know that they've been influenced by Turkish music. But when they hear it, they go, "Oh, I know this. Where do I know this from?" It's one of those things that's kind of built in.
This is the chalga genre?
Yeah. What does chalga mean in Turkish? The instrument, yeah, right? For us, it doesn't mean instrument. It's that particular sort of, it's not exactly Bulgarian folk music. It's I call it, it's my personal take, I call it a bastardized version of Bulgarian folk music, which is Bulgarian folk music is it's all odd time signatures. And so if you want to get into Bulgarian music, you have to take out your notebook and you have to start doing math. And so we don't really make it easy to do a cover of a Bulgarian song just because everything is, you know. There you go. That's a 7/8 dance, and that goes really, really fast. So we make it a challenge. You know, you try to break the Bulgarian market. I dare you to do something with this beat. And some people succeed, some people don't. But maybe in the failure it would be a very, very fun story. But yeah, those, as you can see, music kind of breaks those borders very, very quickly, and musicians communicate in that language exclusively. It's up to us, the managers and the promoters and whoever is going to be putting this in front of an audience, to really bridge the gap between all of those. The job between matching two musicians from different backgrounds and different languages is not at all dissimilar as to promoting a show. It is exactly the same thing. You're trying to distill the essence of the artist and make it presentable to someone who may be interested in hearing it. And so you just have to dig a little deeper, have to consider where they're coming from, what they may be open to, and you kind of have to insert your own excitement into the project. You have to say, I'm excited about this. This is important for me. I hope it's important for you as well. And that's what I try to tell all my artists. You know, make sure you tell whoever you're doing something for, whatever you're doing, say this is important for me. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And maybe that'll inspire some sort of collaboration. But you have to start from there.
Just you having talked about Turkey, what about the other neighboring countries and the Balkan countries? Are you more like culturally embedded with them, or do you feel like that Bulgaria can play on the historical connections?
I personally don't feel like it. The statistics are the following. So the Balkans, 13 countries, 17 religions, and no common language. And that is a scary thought. So it is that's where the word Balkanization comes from, essentially. There, it's divided. And former Yugoslavia, now not one country, and it's all divided into small little bits and pieces with their own particular dialects and their musical past. And so it's a challenge to unite all those. We do work with other promoters in different countries when we're bringing bands over. It just makes sense because of geography. You know, when the band comes over, it's much easier for them to play Bucharest, which is 6 hours away by car. Belgrade, another 6 hours away by car. And hopefully Sofia, down to Istanbul, or down to Athens, that's a little farther away. And we share a lot of music interests with the other people, and we always talk about which bands they would like to invite. So we have a great powwow with the promoters, the regional promoters. We're always very, very astounded how, if something is so hot in one country, is completely unknown in the other. And it happens more often than you think. And I've worked with a lot of wonderful artists. I worked with the beautiful Sara Tavares, who's no longer alive, I'm afraid. But she's a wonderful Cabo Verdean artist, very, very unique in her approach to everything, life, music. And she was, for us, she was a superstar. And we always had her concerts were always very tearful. She was very close to the people. No one around us knew who she was in the other countries. And so even my enthusiasm couldn't, excite them to bring her to their country. And so, we try to find common threads. And whenever there's a common thread, we pull it. And we try to keep people informed as much as we can. We sometimes work as competitors, of course. So there has to be some sort of professional boundaries. Because if we're fighting for a big artist, they may say, I'm paying enough money to have exclusivity for my country. So if Metallica is playing in Romania next year, they're not playing in Bulgaria. They're playing in Romania and Greece, and they have country exclusivity because it's such a small territory. So that also is an impediment. You
pull away people from these neighboring countries for a bigger show, right?
Yeah, always. And so when we do something very special, we've done quite a lot of special concerts, especially in Plovdiv. Plovdiv has a wonderful antique theater, which is over 2,000 years old. It's a Roman amphitheater made of marble, which is why it's withstood the test of time. A lot of them are made from gypsum, which just erodes after a glass of water is dumped on it, but this has been there for a while. And we've done a lot of magical shows that's been band and orchestra on the stage, and people have come as far as Australia and New Zealand to see some of these things. And we've always said, yeah, that's great, but this is going to be the only show on the Balkans, and take it or leave it. And luckily, most of the time they say, we'll take it. Yeah.
Okay. And what are you most excited about for the next coming year or two? Are you see some new works coming up that you're really curious to see how it evolves, or you feel very confident where you are now?
Yes. Well, we're trying to get as much work done now before the holiday season sets in, because I know that all my clients are going to be incredibly lazy to do anything. We're already booking we're 26 and 27, so I'm trying to bring artists that have never been to Bulgaria. I'm trying to bring them along, trying to strike the right deal for us, and really anticipate how the prices of our tickets are going to be, considering that the euro is going to be implemented on 1/1/26. So this economical mental exercise is what's keeping us excited at the moment, guessing what's going to happen. And I just thought about this the other day, is that most of the music that I'm listening to now is local. Really, I have my favorite things that I listen to, but I'm mostly listening to the new local music that's coming up. And working at Believe has been really, really great, because I've had to endure some genres that I never thought I could endure before and get to the bottom of them. And I've actually grown to love quite a few other things that I never even thought possible. I said, this is so way out of my wheelhouse, I'll never understand it. And then you meet the creator, and then, oh, I understand you, so now I understand your music as well. That's why those personal relationships are really the driving force. They're the only way to really work effectively with someone, and that's one of those steps you can't really skip. You just need that. So I'm excited to see what'll happen. I think we have most of the hip hop artists are with us at the moment, and so we're going to try to help them succeed and elevate their business as much as possible. Most of them can't even speak English, so it's essentially me on Zoom or whatever with them. Okay, click here, this button, this is what this means. But then they get really excited and they make a video that breaks 5 million views, in 2 weeks, and I'm going to do it again. Can we do it again? And so their excitement it makes me excited about it. So we're helping them succeed in what they love, and who doesn't like that?
Amazing. People, any questions for Boyan?
The answer is 42, by the way. Preemptive answer.
But yeah, as you can see, he knows a lot about how to go digital, the live industry. You can ask him anything, I guess, if you're
American
curious.
visas? No, not at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Any last advice for Hungarian artists who would like to look at Bulgaria and perhaps thinking of going there?
Yeah, I thought about this before. I think that it is essentially our countries are kind of similar in a way. These sort of regional countries in Eastern, we like to have like a favorite band. Like I'd say it's my favorite French band, it's my favorite Serbian band. I don't think Bulgaria has a favorite Hungarian band yet. And I think that's definitely a niche to be explored. If you really do try to connect with a band on a musical level, which is very easy, I think you'll be able to make a breakthrough. But you got to be first, right? So there has to be a sort of a race to the top. Who's going to be the favorite Hungarian artist? And that can be a marketing strategy for you. It can be, I'm the #1 Hungarian artist in Bulgaria. And that, I think, is... that'd be fun for me to try. The #1 Bulgarian artist in Hungary.
Yeah, let that sink in. That's great.
Exactly. And so it's a heck of a challenge. It's a personal challenge as well. It's like, is this possible? And of course, it means that you may have a crowd of 15 people, but you can still be the #1 because the other ones have a crowd of 10, and so you can still be the man.
That's amazing. So I hope someone's shared this dream with Boyan and
let's see.
Want to be the first Hungarian.
The #1 Hungarian artist in Bulgaria.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everyone for being here, and Boyan, of course, thank you for sharing all this, and thank you again. And I guess he's approachable after this or through emails if you want to find him. But
of course, yes, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.